is under a dominion, meaning that the atomic kingdom masters over the natural or nature kingdom. Just as you see that man who carries the atom or atom masters over the animals and the wild animals of the forest, and also the wild animals in his inner verse, the urges, if he wants to, or if she wants to and chooses to. So one of my major points today was just to slow it down. There was no reason for me to rush through a conversation. Let's have a great show. Let's tap dance. Let's be sanctimonious. Let's make them smile. Let's do all these different things that just keep tugging more on their emotions in many tenses. But the question has to be asked, is the data, is the knowledge, is the application actually soaking in? Has the person's foundation become fertile enough to receive the message? Or has the consciousness still remained callous and hard as a rock or sediment, and it's just not penetrating to the areas that it needs to penetrate? Because what we'll actually show today is that consciousness, which is like a flaming fire, it's like a light in itself, when divided and beginning to divide itself, loses energy along the way of its division. And that many people are actually caught in a lower or a shadow world of their consciousness, and they don't have the light or inner light to actually see who is who and what is what around them. So we're going to talk about in every single aspect today of what goes on with you before you're born here on this physical incarnation, what you can do here now, and also what goes on after this. So let me first begin again by explaining to you that our world, which has always been seen as an enclosed garden, is a circle. That all that is designed here is based on a phi-type force, or what's called a spiral force, before they ever gave it that name. It's how you see the waves move, how you see the curve of the mountains, the streams. That is the spiral force. So there are laws about the spiral force, like especially if you happen to be in an enclosed garden and you are continuously engaging in only physical things, physical concerns, then you only can move in a circle. This is that no matter how far you run across the planet, no matter how much you may feel like that is a straight line, it is in fact a circle. So no matter how much you attempt to do here, until you, on the physicality, until you go into spirituality, which they always say moves now from what I'm seeing in the knowledge, it moves like a straight line because it's like a ray. When you see the sun coming out, it shows a beam, a straight line like a laser. Laser is the most straightest line. So this is the knowledge behind and in front of all of what's going on in the universe, and it's self-evident. It's something that you can go and find anywhere. It's not something that someone necessarily has to reveal to you unless you somehow forget. So we're going to talk about this stage of forgetfulness, and let me get on top of my notes. I got quite a few images, actually not a lot, but very powerful images that will give you an idea of exactly how this world is set up and what's going on, and also a group of perpetrators, individuals who have taken the knowledge and turned it inside out, changed the story, interpolated it, and have now trapped the entire world in their clutches of misinformation. So let us begin. I first will start with just an image of the cosmic body, because as I said, today I'm going to slow this down. And I want everyone to look at the cosmic body again to see that you see the emanation point mapped out here as the absolute. That is the solar body. All the energy, all the essence, all the emanations, all in one massive ball connected even to galactic core and beyond. Okay? And then you see the rays shining out, and as they shine out, they become what we now know as celestial bodies. Now, notice how the term body is being used. Celestial, spiritual bodies, heavenly bodies. Now, the first thing you have to realize is that this is you. They were not talking about any other characters here, any people on a spaceship from another planet and all that. No, we're talking about you. We have to be. And the reason why we have to be talking about you is something I'm going to show you here on this other chart. This chart here is going to show you what I was talking about before with when you go to your grandmother, you go to your grandmother's grandmother, you go to your great-grandfather, and you keep going back further and further, what you really get to is you get to an apex, what's called an apex being. And here's that chart. If you notice that I've made the chart, obviously this triangle could be as large as you wish, but you see a certain group of people on the bottom. I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8 people on the bottom, okay? And this is simple knowledge. Let's say there's 8 million people in the world. If you go 10,000 years ago, it's not going to be 8 million people. It's going to be less. And if you keep doing that, you're going to eventually get to one human being, which I've indicated on the top is not a male or female. It's actually what is known as an angel or a malachim or a king. But as you see with images such as Rebus, you see that the king is always depicted as androgynous, meaning that the first physical being to arrive on this planet, which is still in many tenses spiritual, is actually an androgynous being. But that was the first of our kind, our reflection, our spectrum to come into this particular sphere. Okay? Now, what I've also put on this diagram is I put a tree because it's important for you to see that the top of the tree is the indication of space, the heavens, the celestial bodies. It's where all the fruit, where the birds or the angels live, etc. This is how the indigenous and many of the ancient cultures of this planet depicted it. That the top of the tree was always symbolized as abundance. It had the parts of the tree such as, again, the fruit, the leaves, those who nested. It took care of those who confided in it and lived within it. Okay? So this means already if you live in this state of consciousness, this expanded, heightened state of consciousness, then you always find yourself in the company of other celestial bodies in the higher frequency by sheerly their proximity to you. Now what we have to see on this chart is we have to see that there is another part of the tree which you can go outside and also locate, known as the roots. And in many tenses, if you think about it, roots mean your connection. It means your ground. It means your memory. It means a lot of things. So I don't want people to start demonizing Earth because of what they hear today about its origins and its existence and why it carries on this way. Because the reality is that if we were taking all of our experiences in the jungle, battling animals, trying to save our own lives from tyrants, if we were taking all of those experiences in which our fathers and mothers who were